Namaste. My name is Vivekananda. People call me Vivek. I believe in living a simple life. I believe in thinking differently. I am proud to share my belief with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said, "Simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication." I aim to bring time tested wisdom and happiness together into your business and life by unifying, simplifying, amplifying simple technology and tools. I achieve this by developing software solutions as necessary. Today, I shall tell you two stories: a busy businessman and a happy businessman. I could have said busy business person to make it gender neutral, but the story is about a man, and there are businesswomen in both the stories, and in fact, one of them is a very smart client. The characters in the stories are fictional, and any similarities in names are just coincidental. Let me start with the first story. John is a busy businessman and he is meeting Tom, a client. John says, "Good morning, Tom." But then John is startled when his phone starts ringing. Something that can happen to many of you. John apologizes and asks permission to answer his phone. Tom is obviously not happy. As such, meeting has just started after a delay, but John's phone has already started ringing. However, being a true gentleman, Tom says, "Sure, go ahead." At the other end of the phone, it is Amy, a prospective client for John. Amy is wondering if John has rescheduled the meeting without actually informing her. She is a gentle lady and is being polite. But John was annoyed because his phone rang just as he was starting a meeting. He says, "Good morning, Amy. Sorry, but I'm in a meeting now." His voice conveys that it is wrong time for the phone call. And so he tries to reschedule the meeting on the fly. But Amy has had enough. She very sternly replies, "I'm afraid not. You'll have to reschedule the meeting." Being a reasonable woman, she adds, "It may have been possible if only you had phoned me earlier." Amy states that she has been waiting over an hour for John to turn up for the meeting. John now realizes that it is actually his own fault, and he tries to apologize by confessing that he forgot to check his paper diary. Well, most of us have a smartphone with us. Lots of us have trouble getting our business calendars on our phones, and even fewer can deal with calendar notifications in a smart way. Now, let us consider what opinion will Tom have. Tom thinks that John is unable to keep his appointments and has bungled them up. And what impression does a prospective client like Amy get from this? Obviously, she is wondering if John handles all customers in the same disorganized, muddled up way. John tries to apologize to Tom and salvage the situation. But Tom isn't happy and wants to quickly go through the meeting and go through the document that John had promised delivery today. He also reminds John that this meeting is already running late. Now, here is the unfortunate part. John says that he printed the document yesterday but seemed to have misplaced it. Tom's first response is, they need input from other departments within the organization, and it would be hard with a printed copy. And more importantly, Tom states that they actually expected the document yesterday. John tries to convince Tom that he wanted to bring a hard copy and discuss it with him in person. John asks if he can send it as an attachment to an email. Tom is thinking, so what are we doing here then? Because John isn't delivering the document and he is also late for the meeting. So what is the point of the meeting? However, he says, all right, John, for now, I'll let you email it by afternoon. And he also points out that it's already late. John is thankful for that and concludes the meeting by saying he will email the document as soon as he reaches his office. Here is a question for the audience. How many of you will have to be in your physical office to do that? Do you think that there must be a better way? Tom is doing a bit of loud thinking here. He is complaining that John turned up late for meeting and also had completely forgotten another meeting, and what is worse, didn't even deliver what was expected yesterday. Tom concludes that John is not at all reliable. Having apologized twice within a short period of time, John comes out of the meeting in a bad shape. And then his phone rings again. And this time it is his better half, Sarah. John is glad to answer his phone this time, but Sarah has the family priorities right. She asks whether John has forgotten about their daughter's birthday. John is on the defense now and tries to remember whether he ordered the cake or not. Sarah states the obvious when she says John always forgets the most important things in the world. She wants to make sure that there is a cake for the daughter's birthday, and then, being the better half, Sarah asks if he managed to deliver the document to Tom. Sarah says, "It was on your table last night and I put it in your briefcase thinking you would forget to take it otherwise." Now, John is in a real pickle. He says he searched all over his table in the morning but couldn't find it. Now Sarah realizes what has happened. John did not deliver it, even though it was in his briefcase. John is defensive again and tries to justify by saying that he didn't expect it to be in his briefcase because he didn't put it himself. At this point, whoever thinks that it is Sarah's fault is a horrible person. Sarah is now sad and realizes that she should check with bakers about a cake and somehow get a cake for daughter's birthday. John reflects on the day so far by saying it has been a terrible day. Sarah sympathizes, expresses her genuine concern, and hangs up the call. That was the first story. Now, let us see what happened in the story. John lives a chaotic life. He does have access to modern devices, but they all work in isolation. Divide and rule works only if you divide your enemies, not if you divide yourselves. The result is solution for one problem becomes a problem on its own. Hope you can spot the irony here. I would say John is suffering from diarrhea, pun intended. Moral of this story is unify, simplify, amplify life. Now, it is time for the second story. For the purposes of this story, I am using the same characters and similar circumstances, but with totally different outcomes. John is a happy businessman and he is meeting a client, Tom. Eagle-eyed amongst you might have noticed that John looks very smart as well. John and Tom are exchanging greetings. Now, here is the big and smart difference that actually matters. Rather than go over the document with Tom in person, John has already shared it, but he is meeting Tom just to make sure that everything is all right. Tom acknowledges that it's all good and their departments have already started working with the document. Tom also acknowledges the fact that John is making sure everything is okay. A good customer service practice. John then concludes the meeting in a very professional way. Tom is impressed by how John has handled business. Now, John sees a pop-up message on his phone reminding him about the meeting with Amy. Being smart, he had moved the meeting to a time convenient for both him and Amy. John then sends a text message to Amy saying he is on his way for the meeting. John has now reached Amy's office in time and they are on to a good start. John asks if Amy received the text message he had sent. Amy acknowledges that it was nice of him to send a confirmation text message and also that he is on time. Amy says she has a couple of questions about what John is trying to sell. John says that as he uses Google Apps, he can show photos and documents on his iPad. With such a good start, meeting goes very well. Having concluded both meetings professionally, John calls up his wife. Sarah appears to be in a good mood here, don't you think? John asks whether the birthday cake has arrived. Sarah confirms that the cake has indeed arrived and she is happy with it. John explains that calendar on his phone had reminded him to order the cake last week. They are a happy family. There are no secrets or ego problems between them. Sarah asks how was John's morning. John happily says that his meeting with Tom went very well and also that his meeting with Amy was really good because he could show her documents and photos on his iPad. Now, here's the most important part. He also tells her that he fixed the next meeting using his iPad. Now, John expresses hope that in the next meeting he would be able to get Amy to sign the contract. Sarah is very happy to hear that. She also wants him to come home early so that they can celebrate daughter's birthday. Now, let's do a bit of analysis here. What is the difference between this story and the previous one? In this one, John gets the benefits of unifying the technology he already has. He is able to make use of his phone more effectively, pop-up messages from the calendar, for example, and meeting reminders. He is also able to collaborate with the client by sharing document and, of course, open, frank, and timely communication within the team. John and his better half. Those were the two stories. Now, here is some food for thought for the audience. I'm sure many of you can relate to what happened in the story to what happens in your business lives. Thank you for listening to the two stories today. We can get together and work out ways to make your systems work for you. You can reach me through my website. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscription is free, you know. And hit the bell icon so that you can customize the notifications you get from my channel. Thank you for being with me today. Hope it has been helpful. Namaste.